Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is BSL Hasuleague Group B, and this is the winners match between White and Bug. I'm gonna favor White a little bit here, just because he has been a consistent competitor. Out to Chatland for people who are just coming in. Upper right hand corner we got Bug starting as the dark blue Protoss. Bottom right hand corner we got White starting as the white Protoss. I believe this was on retro. If I looked at the map properly, this is in fact on retro. But White has been so. I'm not sure about Bug. I haven't seen Bug play a lot aside from the games we've already seen. He's been solid in that play. I feel like his opponents were definitely less skilled with him. I feel like White will be the first significant challenge, and so this will be a good, interesting read on Bug, because White has consistently made it to at least, has made it multiple times to the round of 8. Hasn't gotten the deep reach into the finals, but from White's play, I have seen stuff where I'm like, yeah, White could probably make it into the final 4, if not take a championship with the right grouping of players. I'm actually looking at it, I'm trying to think if we have any Terran, or this is probably not going to help my numbers, and I'm wondering if the numbers are starting to sag on YouTube because of me. No, because of all the PvP play, or maybe it's the quality of play. Maybe I should just abandon Hasuleague. No, I can't abandon Hasuleague. Gotta cast for the bros, give the encouragement to get people out here. Looks like we got a 10 gateway on both sides, by the way. We'll see if it turns into a double 2 gate. In the meantime, White is making his way towards top right. We also have, well, for a second I thought Bug was going to make the way bottom right, instead going top left. And so there is going to be initial scouting advantage to White, which can be pretty significant, honestly. Never mind, White initially was making the way top right, instead wanted to go cross map to try to detect possible proxy 2-gate play. And as a result, potentially, this will be interesting to see how this plays out, because as Bug is cycling it, oh, unfortunately for White, White doesn't get the visual position on where the probe came from. And so seeing the probe right here, he just knows that, okay, he's not in top left. And we do have a second gateway dropping for Bug, a simulator up, and it looks like cybernetic score. And we'll see, look, that is a cybernetic score before defensive zealot, by the way. And so we'll see if a zealot even gets queued up here. Another gateway, additional pylon down, so it doesn't look like this is going to be any sort of crazy proxy tech or anything like this, but White really delaying on constructing the zealot, and we already have one zealot holding the ramp, and unfortunately for White, going to start scouting bottom left, tagging after that other. Now are we going to have at least a zealot queued? No zealot queued, so it's going to be an attempt at a pure Dragoon defense with this, so this could be tough, and we got 2 additional zealots queued up. Do we have... And it looks like this is going to at least potentially be 5 zealot, maybe a dedication across that, because usually you'll see an assimilator dropped after this if there's a potential push to transition out. And we also have range upgrading, no second base, a pylon dropped. Where's the Dragoon? Did the Dragoon get canceled? Never mind, the Dragoon just out a little bit, getting over eager. The worker going to come in, it's going to be real happy, seeing that it's just a single gate, no zealot, and a Dragoon. 3 zealots already marching their way across, and it looks like it's going to be 3 zealot into Nexus actually behind this. So White sees the Nexus, is going to walk up, see the double gateway, and let's see if there's sufficient defense to repel this. Does he recognize he needs to get to the ramp rapidly? Unfortunately, the Dragoon just holding, so not the best reaction time. The 3 zealots already marching in versus just 1 Dragoon. This is going to be a really hard defense, and a robotics facility dropped. So we got the second Dragoon queued and a zealot. The Dragoon going to try to hold. This is a bad place for that Dragoon. The probe's now pulling off the line. Yeah, the Dragoon was blocked out by its own zealots, so it gets wiped out. Decent drilling, I have to say, but this is still a decent amount of lost mining time. I'm actually curious about drilling versus calculation. That zealot gets wiped out. Beautiful defense by White, honestly, as far as that follow-up. But still, losing that early Dragoon hurts, because oftentimes the follow-up is that you have better Dragoon play. So White ahead in the workers for now, but keep in mind that Nexus is being built rapidly. This almost guarantees what needs to be followed up here with White is maybe 2 gate into support bay to get Reavers out in the front as rapidly as possible. Double photon cannon being dropped to the natural expansion. I think this is a similar build that we saw out of Bug previously that did result, I think it resulted in a win. So one advantage of having Reavers out, especially with the lower troop count, is you can, first of all, start attacking the cannons from the natural expansion and defend them in some instances, but also secondarily what you can do is with the lack of defensive units out in the front, you can actually just loft the Reaver into the main. Let's see if Bug dropping a Citadel of Dune, trying to calculate a lack of a observatory altogether. So maybe skipping to DT and trying to provide the defense that way. That would actually be very, very clever. It's going to be a minute before you'll have potential DT play. But that would be a solid defense against us. We got 4 cannons out in the front to buy the time. Reaver now in production. We do see that robotic support bay follow-up. I'm actually surprised not that we're seeing a lack of additional gateway here from White as well. Usually you'll see, not always, but I see oftentimes, as far as a follow-up, a secondary gateway just to get a few more Dragoons out. So we got 4 cannons out in the front. That's going to be a lot. That should be sufficient time to get some Dark Templar out. And the question will be, post this Reaver, do we see an observatory? It looks like White may be saving to go for a follow-up Nexus on top of this, and this could be disastrous for White all the way around. As far as, so the Zealot just checking out the 6 o'clock location. Oh, this could be a disaster for White. So White is going to have the Reaver, but potentially is just not going to have detection for the follow-up. And we got 2 additional gateways planting. White needs to get some damage done with the Reaver and Dragoon, instead going for shuttle speed as far as a follow-up. And Bug with the very, very Protossy follow-up play, potentially going to wreck the day. We do not have a cannon defensively main. We only have a single Dragoon right there. And the shuttle actually should be plenty to go ahead and drop this. This might provide some escape timing for those probes to react. The probes not reacting, and the mineral line providing a sufficient blockade. So that Dragoon gone, but we already have Dark Templar in production, a few High Templar in production as well to deal if there were, and so now it's down to 1 base. So White at least able to deny this natural expansion. That's still 4-gate production. You can run the 4-gate production off just 1 base mining, particularly when it's fully saturated like this. But is the observatory plopping down? Okay, we do have the observatory, but we don't have an observer as of yet. We do have the Dark Templar revealing itself now at the natural expansion, which should force a cancellation of that Reaver and an immediate observer. So White now in a pretty solid position, down on the worker count, but able to create enough disruption where we're not so far out of the woods. Is that Dragoon gonna? Okay, no, not blockading the worker line for fortunately. Still has opportunity. Dark Templar getting 1 shot. Continued denial. Honestly, Bug getting very, very lucky here with these workers not getting hit by this Reaver. That's putting him actually up 10, trying to build Photon Cannon at the main. It's just been all duds this far. More mining disrupted. Dark Templar getting some additional hits on that Reaver, and unfortunately for White, I feel like he did the right play here, but it's just not paying off because it was dud after dud after dud from that Reaver. Now he's going to have to scoot out and is up on supply, has a much larger army, but is down on workers, and we also have some Psystorm to potentially negate that army advantage. Brutal. And also, moving out to grab a 3rd is a bit dicey when you know those Dark Templar out in the field. This is 5 cannons out here. That's slowing down a bit of that production. Or actually, sorry, we've got 8 cannons. But Bug, honestly, with all of the workers he has down, that's plenty to kind of push in between here. So, and he'll also have a bit of a defender's advantage as things move on. White floating a lot of resources to go ahead and get some additional gateways down is going to need it. I'm wondering if White is thinking about going ahead and grabbing a 3rd. The Observer now walking up to go ahead and check the tech. Range just now finishing. So Bug cutting, keep in mind, cutting Dragoon range for quite a bit of time. So he's going to be very, very sealed up for quite a bit. Dark Templar checking top corner. That cannon could easily be picked off, rapidly picked off by these 2 Reavers, which could open up some additional disruption. In the meantime, White well behind in the economic game. Does open up opportunities for White to sneak into this if he can stay on top of the Macron. It looks like his mineral floating a little bit too much gas. And a lot else. The Reaver's unfortunately not attacking the cannon. That's giving a forewarning evacuation, but this is still emptying this base, which is giving White that time he needs to go ahead and continue to press into this economically. In the meantime, we have an attack towards the front from Bug, but I think he might be outnumbered as far as raw Dragoons. He does have 2 Psystorm to try to equalize things. These Reavers not at home base, a few probes getting wiped out. So Bug now engaging, White getting caught by surprise, it looks like. So the Dragoons, despite having that Dragoon advantage, not really well find out. He's lucky he didn't lose that Observer, dodging the initial Psystorms. Maybe over pressing here honestly, but never mind. The follow-up Psystorm's beautiful, able to melt everything left, has additional Psystorm to get a few workers. So Bug now has a sizable army sitting outside the natural expansion. Do we have another round of Dragoons to help defend this? And the shuttle needs to make its way back home in a hurry to try to defend this natural expansion. So everything turning out for Bug right this second. 4 Dragoons walking in. It's going to be a while before he has additional Psystorm. This should be defendable. But critically, what this is doing is this is allowing this is allowing Bug to sit back and utilize that macro advantage that he's already capped and keep White on the defensive at a lower worker count. Although we are starting to hit worker counts where it's not really an advantage until you take an additional base. However, as I say that, Bug grabbing that base at the 1 o'clock location. So Bug sacrificing a bit of an attack force to force White back, buy himself some time. White just now getting his Citadel of Adun up. He's still got the observatory out in the front. Sees that pocket of troops to the north, try to provide some defense. Supply counts are actually even, but this is a 10 worker lead for Bug. One problem for Bug here is this is a very exposed expansion here to the north. So much so that I don't know that White is going to calculate that it's in fact there. So very Protoss things. Oh, extrands that Reaver. That was maybe an overstep. I think that was definitely an overstep. But on evacuation, finds that Nexus at the 12 o'clock. And this puts Bug in an interesting situation where he needs to run troops up here. And if White just moves out, he can, with the Observer, he can exploit where the troops aren't, potentially. So three Dragoons making the way. They're going to be able to pick off that shuttle, pick off the Reaver. I don't know that they're going to be able to pick off what's left. And what the Observer needs to do is float down here to the well, actually, never mind. I take it back. Bug, because the cannons on the front, can maybe sweep a counterattack and punish White for going to the 12 o'clock location. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out. So Bug sneaking underneath. We do have a worker making its way to the 12 o'clock. It's going to see that army. If a Dragoon just is left here, yeah, just leave a Dragoon. Move the rest of the troops back, maybe go for a pincer attack and move the Zealots back. This could be a disaster now for Bug. So Bug now moving to the north to engage here. The Zealots are being left underneath. They do not have Zealot leg speed. So they're not... Nice dodge of some Psystorm right there. The Zealots now have Zealot leg speed. They're going to make their way in, still dodging some Psystorm in between. We got a cleanup defense force trying to make their way up the ramp right there. And Bug now retreating, but between all of this, with his troop movement, might have been able to buy himself some time to, well, maybe not. I was going to say buy himself some time to defend the Nexus, but it looks like not. That Nexus continuing to burn. The Dragoon's still not able to breach, and the rest of the Zealots going to run up to that 12 o'clock location. Once they have that high ground, it's going to be difficult for Bug to evict that attack force. The Observer going to remove to the southern flank to see if Bug is going to go for a counterattack to the low ground. So that Nexus has been wiped out, putting Bug in the red. By the way, Bug is now... He was counting on that third base being up. He is overproduced on workers right this second. White, in the meantime, at the 6 o'clock location, going to go ahead and stage up to go ahead and get an additional base there. Nice worker positioning for White, just in case there was a follow-up attack. A bunch of defensive cannons in between here to deal with the potential follow-up Reaver attack. A bit unnecessary at this stage. And Bug moving out to attack, maybe feeling like a little bit too far as a catch-up mechanism. Also, I want to point out, do we have Dark Templar being built here? We have the Templar Archives, but I don't see Dark Templar being built. Bug has been playing on a complete lack of observers this entire time, and a few Dark Templar could be punishing. Instead, it looks like we have a slew of Dark Templar being built by Bug. 3 o'clock base initially? This is a very brave Nexus from Bug. I would usually call this like a cheesy Nexus, but maybe feeling he's in a strong enough position, which I don't think he is, to try to hold this 3 o'clock. Granted, there's not a lot of High Templar on White side of the map, and usually the way you negate high ground positions like this is you just storm your way up, and they have to back out of the side storm that allows you to kind of walk up the ramp. +1 weapons, +1 armor, by the way, just about to finish. +1 weapons already finished from Bug. Bug also dropping a slew of cannons in the midst of this, which could open... If White spots this, he should just expand twice, is what it comes down to. Like, let Bug have the base and go ahead and take that bottom left. And make sure he doesn't take 12 o'clock. A couple Dark Templar are now sweeping in. If they can wipe out these cannons, this 3 o'clock base is gone. And it looks like, is one cannon even going to get up? Nice troops around. Gonna work on that last cannon, and it's gone. And we still have a couple Dark Templar left, which means this base is gone. Bug trying to do some desperation rebuild maneuvers, and while I was doing that, I missed the Dark Templar drop in the main bottom right. Looks like a couple cannons drop. It's cleaned up pretty rapidly. White has finally gotten somewhere close to the equalized worker count. The Dark Templar working on the Nexus, and now finally that lack of detection hurting Bug, instead dropping some cannons at the 12 o'clock, wanting to grab that base. So 3 o'clock base up for White. He's going to have to resaturate towards his main, but yeah, he can just go ahead and grab another base, honestly, in the midst of this. Bug still somehow with a little bit of a supply lead. How are we doing for production back here? It looks like we've got a good gateway spread. So we got, is that a gateway? No, that is a pylon. So we got 9 gateways in the main. A bit of a production advantage in that regard because we have 6 gateways for White. He has yet to tack on the additional gateways, but at the same time, Bug, that's overproduction for Bug until he grabs that 3rd. And also it's a bit of overproduction because his main's about to mine out. So he's going to have 3 gateways that are probably going to have to sit fallow for a bit because he's just not going to have the resources to push into it. +1 armor, by the way, finishing. We have the double forge upgrades continuing. Observer going to get picked off here at the 12 o'clock location. +2 weapons on the way. It looks like +2 weapons is going to finish a little bit earlier for Bug. Bug also morphing some Archons here out on the front. Bottom left, cannons getting dropped there from White. White can grab that additional base. And look at this. Bug, not missing any beats, going to try to grab his own 4th top left, at which point the gateways would be workable. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how this plays out. Observer is still tacking at the 3 o'clock. Bug's really abusing the fog of war here. Couple Archons out, but with that +2 weapons and a superior amount of Archons, this might not go in White's favor. Some Dark Templar moving up. We have the Observer getting picked off, but the Dark Templar picked off as well. Some good Psystorm from White over the Archon lines. He might have caught a bit of his Zealots, but yeah, those Archons just a little bit too beefy with that +2 weapons, able to crash into White's army. So White's army all of a sudden just getting absolutely smashed there and having to retreat. Just not enough Psystorm to make up the difference. And now Bug all of a sudden with a 50 supply lead. The Zealots with that +2 weapon going to be able to shred these Dragoons, particularly with that Zealot leg speed, and is going to barrel into that natural expansion. It looks like this might be a game-winning maneuver. Yeah, White simply doesn't have enough to defend at the natural. Was just on too few gateway for the period of time. If he could get some emergency Dark Templar out, maybe. But I think that's going to be game, and I think Bug took it through, honestly, some very feisty, I will use the word feisty here. That is not a word I throw around lightly, people. Feisty. There's some people I know who are feisty. Various artists out there. But that was feisty play from Bug. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.